Hello, good day. My name is Christian Mahabal Singh, and today I will be presenting my project on the evaluation of the production buildings at the University Field Station. The production buildings I am focusing on are the poultry housing. Now, for us to sustain life, we must consume food. The main food consumed globally is poultry. In Trinidad and Tobago, we have a high importation bill. To combat this, we must equip our farmers with the best resources available so we can compete on a global scale. Poultry is no different. Often local poultry farmers have fallen to the wayside when compared to big brands like Tyson, as they are not armed with the knowledge of what makes a world-class building. Therefore, my aim for this project is to evaluate the production buildings at the university field station and update the layout with respect to the standards that are in place today. Some of my objectives for this project are to evaluate the building materials used, critique the effectiveness of the buildings, critique the effectiveness of the layout of the buildings, look at methods of environmental waste and facilities management, and determine the potential economic gains from any recommendations found. Now, in order to be more adept and understanding of the science and standards of poultry housing, a comprehensive lit review was conducted. From this research, it can be seen that a need for proper housing was found. This is so as proper housing can contribute to higher levels of meat quality and less diseases present in the bird due to weathering of environmental factors. Certain environmental factors can have a great impact on a bird's health and happiness. Some of these are temperature, relative humidity, air velocity, and air composition. Temperature especially plays a massive role in the bird's health, as heat stroke is often a major cause of sudden death syndrome in poultry farms. Above shows a table with the recommended temperatures at which birds are to be kept for various ages. In order to control these indoor climatic conditions, proper environmental control must be put in place. Ventilation helps to regulate the internal temperatures of the building. It also helps to remove carbon dioxide, airborne diseases, and other waste gases. It also supplies fresh oxygen to the bird. These are There are two major types of ventilation systems. The first is naturally ventilation. Natural ventilation is a cheap option requiring little to no machinery, and it is best employed in small to medium operations. However, the effects are very limited and the temperature cannot be regulated directly. The building must also be oriented facing the prevailing winds. In addition, ventilation will only happen when wind is blowing, so it is not a constant process. Secondly, we look at drafted or tunnel ventilation. This ventilation is more popular in hot climates. They involve the use of exhaust fans to provide inlet air. This air is then passed through a evaporative cooling pad which reduces the overall temperature of the birds. This allows for a number of benefits for the bird's health and eventually the meat quality. Here we can see a comparison between naturally vented birds, the picture on the left, and tunnel vented birds, the picture on the right. As you can see, the tunnel vented birds are quite cooler than the naturally vented birds, which is shown to reduce mortality rates. Next, we are going to look at the housing systems commonly employed to house poultry. Firstly, we look at free range. Free range is one of the oldest forms of farming, having existed since the agricultural revolution. In this method, chickens are free to roam, look for food, and the eggs are simply laid in simple nests. Free range often requires little labor and operating costs. However, the mortality rates are high the stocking density is low, and this can incur an economic burden on the farmer. Secondly, we look at caged housing. Caged is one of the most popular and efficient methods of housing chickens. The advantage of this is that several thousands of birds can be kept securely under one roof, and the feeding, egg collection, and waste disposal can all be automatic. However, cage farming have raised several animal welfare issues, and cage housing is slowly but surely being banned across the world. In addition, the meat quality is said to be much lower than that of free range. That being said, several innovations are being made, such as furnished cages, which attempts to overcome these challenges. Lastly, we look at the aviary housing. Aviaries offers a safe alternative from the welfare concerns of cages, while still offering a larger scale egg production, low mortality rate, high stocking density, and the birds also have a place to roam. This results in a happier and healthier bird. The only downside is that aviaries have a high upfront cost to it. Now, based on the reports done by Mary Thomas and Professor Equi, as well as Edwinson, we can determine viable factors necessary for an efficient, ergonomic, and economically productive chicken production house. Some of these factors are the floor space. For the floor space, there should be a minimum of 0.2 square meters per bird inside the pen, and it should also be sanitized regularly. Secondly, the roofing. The roofing should have no interference with the posts, and vents should be installed. The roof should also be insulated to either keep heat in or keep external heat out. The insulation would also protect the birds from external creatures such as bats, insects, and pigeons. All of these can infect the birds with diseases. Lastly, we look at the walls. The walls should be designed to handle the necessary ventilation required, and it should also have water outlets to allow for the removal of water after sanitization. Now, in order to ensure we obtain factual results efficiently, a proper investigative procedure was formulated. It is summarized as follows. So, we formed a criterion from the literature review to judge the sites. We then visit the sites. After we visit the sites, we evaluate the sites based on the criterion formed. We then visit external farms and perform the same procedure to compare the both. We then conduct a taste test between the field station bird and the external farm. We then determine the operating cost of the poultry house and provide a list of upgrades or new design for a proper poultry house. Then we looked if the upgrades are economically feasible. Now, from this project, I expect that the top chicken farm would perform better in both cases, the taste test and the building evaluation, thus bringing forward the need for upgrades or a new design. Lastly, you can see the Gantt chart. This Gantt chart represents the timeline that I expect to complete the project. I'd like to thank you for your time and attentiveness.